Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Manic Monday edition of The Rundown. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, you don't. I tend to, come along, help out when I can. My name is Mike Poworski. I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown, where we bring you 2A views and conservative news every day.
Every day. Sir, I got to be honest with you, man. You're sounding like you lost a little bass in your voice.
I mean, I could speak deeper if you like, a little
There
bit
you go. See,
lower.
now you sound like you normally. So I think you're
That
having to
help.
alter your voice to make things work out here.
I feel like I'm doing the bass there on the Elvira song. Elvira, Elvira. Yeah, this is normal. So whatever you hear, Craig, is something you've manipulated.
I haven't manipulated anything.
I think you're trying to pay me back for when you were doing the Mickey Mouse routine last week. I didn't know it.
Well, that's kind of what that's kind of what it sounds like. So just so you know, I didn't do it. Not my fault. Not responsible. Not on me. But I'm going to enjoy it nonetheless.
So what I'm going to do is just continue to go up a little bit, and then I'm going to work my way back down in my voice, and we'll see how it works out in the middle.
We will definitely wind up. We will definitely wind up seeing how it works out. So, how was your weekend, sir?
Listen, the weekend was good, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing we need to go over right now, folks, is that Craig is so into this program, so into making sure that we are ready and we are ready to go that literally within 30 seconds before we went on airtime, he got a call from an elderly family member with one of those voice alerts that said, "Help, I've fallen and I can't get up." And he was like, I'm in a meeting for like 20 minutes. I'll call you back. Yeah.
That is just not true. Well, not totally true, but it is okay. It's partially true, but it wasn't true. That wasn't what it was. And no, they don't have one of those "help I've fallen and I can't get up" thingies.
They just yelled at him, "Help, Greg, help me." He was like, "I told you I got a meeting at 5."
Come on, mom. I'm playing a video game here.
Damn it, Mom. Come on.
Come on, mom. Yes, yes, yes. Family life. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Wait, how was your weekend?
How was my weekend? My weekend
Yes,
was
did you enjoy any festivities with the football?
I did. As a matter of fact, went over to my brother's and enjoyed the Super Bowl party. Yes, well, not a party. It wasn't a huge number of people. It was enough people to make sure that there was a good variety of food. Enjoyed what was a good game and I would say a mediocre halftime show. But it was good company.
Listen, I'm not much of a football guy. I did watch the commercials. Did a lot of those. Watched a bunch of those. I got clearly the number one best commercial in 10 years that they played yesterday. But yeah, I was. That's what I was in there for. And the food was good. We did some good food. And I do know that the Cowboys did not win. So
The Cowboys did not win. They did well.
Everybody told you that.
That's nothing new. I mean, if you're betting, that's a pretty good bet that they didn't win.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. What was your likes and dislikes on the halftime show?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Number one, it was the first of all, they acted like this was the first time people of color had been like, the center of the halftime show. But that's just not the case. I mean, you had Michael Jackson, you had Janet Jackson, you had Prince, you had I mean, that was kind of weird. It was the first time though that it was a solely hip hop music halftime show. Now, the good and the bad about that was obviously I like the artists and I like the songs. I thought that the mics were poorly set up, so you could hear too much of the crowd noise in the performers' mics. I didn't think.
Wait, you think the performers were singing? That's funny.
Their mics were on. We'll put it that way.
That was clearly 20 minutes of lip syncing. I mean, the electric guitars had no wires running to them.
Oh, okay? Yeah. Oh, no. I believe most of that music was definitely not live. then the worst part of it was just, I don't know. I didn't think the tarp that they had on the ground that was supposed to be the city of LA, just, you couldn't tell what it was. And they kept switching the camera shots so fast, you couldn't really focus in on anything. I'll put it this way. It wasn't the worst halftime show they've ever had, but people who are like, oh my God, it was the best there ever was. I'm sorry, you people are dumb.
I mean, I think it was average. Obviously, I think the best halftime show they ever had was Prince. I don't know how you get around that, but
hands down.
When Snoop and Dre came out, and then they pulled back, and you could see the cars out front. Right, there were 3 6-4s out there sitting there, and I thought, listen, if they're going to lay 6-4s out there and they don't pull Cube out here and put him on stage, then it's a failure.
Right,
then it's a failure because they was ready to go. Mary J came out. She did all right. She did her Mary J thing. Listen, 50 Cent. How about 50 Cent? People are like, man, he got so big. I'm like, man, the last time you listened to 50 Cent, you didn't look that good either. So don't worry about it. Or you look now.
But the hard part though was, man, is that you're used to seeing 50 Cent even as recent as like a year or so ago, pre-COVID. 50 Cent was always was kind of rocked, right? And he looked like he had he was rocked with some padding.
Listen, he looks now like you look when he looks. What is that? Hold on, I'm going to get this right. Let's get this right. You thinking of 50 Cent, how he used to look back then? Well, that's how you look now too. So it's
but okay, no. First of all,
the worst part of the act.
Make the adjustment.
Only brought him up.
What?
What's that?
Make the adjustment. The worst. All, don't start off with him hanging upside down. All the fat kind of flowed to his head.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been there a while too. He was like,
he'd been there a while.
Yeah. And then the worst part was when they tried to make sure. Well, we don't want everybody saying it was 100% black show, so we better bring out some white guy. And they brought out Eminem, and that was the worst part of the show.
Well, the interesting thing about it though was the only person that was in that show that was not produced by Dr. Dre was Kendrick Lamar. And that was the only person who I couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Yeah.
They were being like, what is that? I was like, that's called modern day rap. Yeah. It'd be really nice if they did it in English.
Yeah, exactly right. But listen, if they had just not put Eminem up there and they brought Cube out right then, done. Over with.
Done. Done.
Over with.
Anyway, yeah, Cube was the one that should have been on there, not... I would say you could have got rid of Kendrick Lamar. I'd have been fine. You could have got rid of Eminem and I'd have been fine. I just thought it was funny though, how the millennials are trying to claim that this was like, their era. And I'm like, you do realize that all of those folks are Gen Xers, right? And the music that they were performing was when I grew up, and I'm not a millennial.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Listen, with Dre and Snoop performing, that was 89 when that came out, right?
Early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
Yeah. So y'all,
right
sorry.
there in your face.
Anyway,
before we jump off
overall, the Super Bowl was a good game.
Before we jump off Super Bowl, hold on. Before we jump off Super Bowl, what was the best commercial? You got one chance to get this right.
No, it was the one where the guys came out of the TV and they were playing around. No, that was by far the best commercial. Yes.
Nope. Meadow and AJ.
What?
The Sopranos. Meadow and AJ Soprano.
Oh God, no. Although that was very nostalgic, but no, not even close. Listen,
that's just commercial. 20 years. That's 20 years worth of questions right there. It's 20 years worth of questions.
Commercial was better than that one, where he's like, so which one of you legendary quarterbacks is going to pass me the potatoes? Eli goes to reach for it. He said, no. I said legendary.
That wasn't Eli. That was Cooper, by the way. You don't know your legendary quarterbacks. That was Cooper. That was the third son who went to reach for it. That's why he said no, legendary.
I'm sorry. I put Eli Manning in the same.
I know all us white guys look the same to you. I know.
All those Mannings that are not Peyton Manning all look the same.
They do, really. And listen, I don't think Eli was a very good quarterback anyway. He was the luckiest guy ever to play in the league. That's for damn sure. Listen, hey, I threw a pass in the Super Bowl, and a guy caught it on the back of his helmet with some bubble gum. How's that a good pass? But he gets the MVP for that game out of that. He's the luckiest guy ever to play football. He is the Forrest Gump of the NFL right there. Is
Well,
Eli Manning.
but now I will still say the commercial where the cartoon guys came in. I'm sorry. Once Henry trucked that dude just like he did in the game, or straight armed him and just not. I was like, that's it. This is the best commercial. Sorry. But I get what you're saying about The Sopranos. It made me want to go back and watch it all over again.
They recreated that. That was not anything from the old opening. David Chase went back and reshot every scene. Yep. If you noticed, the original one, they shot the World Trade Centers. Well, obviously those don't exist anymore.
Right.
This one had the Freedom Tower, and this was Meadow Soprano riding down.
Yep.
And when Dad Anthony went to put or Tony went to put the cigar in his mouth, she put the lollipop in her mouth.
Yep.
Then she got to the shore, and there was AJ. And she answered, that was the millions of Sopranos fans have wanted to know what happened to Meadow and AJ. And now we know. They're okay.
It was very nostalgic. I wouldn't say it was the best commercial, but I would say that it was definitely top 2.
If there was Academy Awards for it, it would win best commercial ever.
Ever. Okay.
Best commercial ever.
I think we've wasted enough time talking about The Sopranos. Of course, it's never really a waste of time.
Just because Tony's dead doesn't mean he can't have your legs broken. So be careful.
Be careful. All right, we will be very conscious of that. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's stories. All right, this first story, you guys. This is not the first time that this has happened, where there's been a rash of shootings relating to officers. And for those of you who may or may not know, there were a number of shootings that took place, one of which involved 9 officers in one incident there in Phoenix. But then there was another couple of instances that included a couple of other officers. Mike, there were a grand total of 13 police officers in different parts of the country who were the victims of shootings within a 24-hour period. Now, mind you, all of last year, right? We're talking about this epidemic of black men being shot by cops, but all of last year, there were only 9 African Americans or black men who were shot by law enforcement officers. And yet now we're talking about 13 police officers who've been shot. I don't know. Let me get your take. Let me get kind of your take on what you know about what's been going on with these situations.
Well, I have to question that number of total law enforcement officers that shot black males or black individuals last year. Those numbers are usually broken down, Craig, to such things like police officers, white police officers, black police officers, armed victims, unarmed victims, all of that. So that number sounds incredibly low from the norm. So
I'm sorry. Normally it's unarmed law enforcement, unarmed black men shot by law enforcement. And correct. even that's not doesn't break down whether they were committing a crime or anything like that. But yeah,
correct. So the 14 in a 24-hour period is huge. But this was there was one incident, like you said, out there in Phoenix with 9 police officers that were shot. Now these 9 heroes, what was going on there? What we know from that crime incident so far, that crime scene there, is that there was a bad guy in there with the wife, with the spouse, and had threatened to kill the child that was in there. And these were basically at different times, some together and at different times, these 9 officers trying to make entry to get in there to save the child's life. And each one of them was the victim of gunfire while trying to save the child's life. Luckily, all of these officers are reported going to be okay and going to be able to return back to duty at some point. So what you had out there was 9 heroes trying to save a child's life. So that's how that went down. Greg? Did I lose you, Craig?
I know you thought you lost me. Sorry about that. I had to step out for a brief moment. I had to step out.
Oh, was that because you've fallen and can't get up and you finally had to help her?
Yes. No.
Well, I'm glad everything worked out. Yeah, like I said, Craig, this was 9 heroes trying to save a child's life out there, so it kind of skewed the numbers for the weekend. That doesn't make it any easier for 5, that were shot. So it's we've I'd love to say, there's an easy solution. There's not. There's a distinct lack of respect going on. I believe it stems back from, I'm sorry, the beginning of President Obama's administration, and it's still lingering today. Where we don't have to show respect anymore. We can just throw race out there, and it'll be okay.
No, but yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight this was because I want people to understand that this is a serious job. These guys put their lives on the line every day, and those 9 officers, in any other situation they might have stayed back, but this was a situation where a child's life was in danger, and they put their lives on the line to try and save that child. And we need to recognize that this is a dangerous profession. We need to realize and recognize that these people put their lives on the line. And there's a reason why we have things put in place to protect police officers when they have to make, moment or split second decisions. And we ought to understand that I'm not saying that we ought not hold people accountable when they make bad decisions, but we ought to recognize and put it and contextualize it in how they do what they do.
Yeah, absolutely right, Craig. And again, it's a hero's job, to do it. If you can't do it, and I've told plenty of people, and I've seen plenty of people walk away. If you're not able to do what these 9 did, if you're not able to say, going through that door, or I'm going through that window to get this child, then take your gun off and take your badge off and go home. It's okay.
Right.
There's other jobs out there to do. If you're not able to do that, it's not the job for you. It really isn't. And these are heroes. Now, listen, I don't want to make it sound like their lives are more important than anybody else's. Their lives are important as everybody else's lives. I want to highlight to you that also this past weekend, 50 people were shot in the city of Chicago, 37 of them wounded and 13 of them killed. So we again ignore the crime situation in Chicago because it's, listen, and this is what's going on. Your politicians don't care, folks, because it's black on black crime, and that doesn't get them votes. All right. Nope. Those lives there mean nothing to them. And it's horrible that the Democrats will continue to lie to you and try and give you welfare and programs to get your vote. And then they don't care when you're,
and they'll push things, Mike. And you talk about, just for an example, you're talking about dealing with and addressing issues that impact crime, right? Like, this leads us to our next story. Now, everyone's talking about ghost guns, right? You have a bunch of people on the left and the anti-gunners all talking about going after ghost guns. But here you have a case, and we already know that in Baltimore, we already know that a small percentage of firearms are actually, of firearms that are being confiscated are actually ghost guns. And even with that, about 10% of those, less than 10% of those firearms are actually involved in actual crimes. So now there's a U.S. Marshal there in Maryland who's actually questioning whether or not this whole thing about ghost guns should be a priority, seeing as how such a small percentage of those firearms are actually used in crimes, instead of actually going after the individuals who are utilizing or illegally obtaining firearms that are being used in crimes.
Yeah, right. What a shocker. I bet you, let's see, this story came out less than a week ago. I bet you by now he's been reassigned working some cruddy task force somewhere by the federal government. But yeah, U.S. Marshal there, he's come out and said, I don't understand why we're chasing guns and these new ghost gun thing that you've made up instead of going after criminals. All right. Guns don't go out and commit crimes. Criminals go out and commit crimes. We're not arresting cars for DUI. We're not arresting spoons for making people fat. Let's go after the criminals rather than the tools. All right. Let's do. Listen, we've got every imaginable law in the world to make sure that a criminal can't get a hold of a firearm, yet they do. Maybe because they don't care about committing crimes. All right. Maybe we talked about this the other day, right? The guy in Texas who killed was it 27 people and then wounded 22 more, or 26 and then 22 more because the Air Force got his records wrong. He got a firearm. He committed a crime. Do you think he was worried about committing the misdemeanor or the low-level felony before he goes and commits murders? It's ridiculous to think that we could make a new law or put up a sign to stop this from happening.
Right, because criminals don't obey the law. That's why they're called criminals. They commit crime. What we ought to be doing is investing in making sure that we're identifying these criminals, and then we're locking them up and we're making sure that they are being punished when they commit the crimes, not decriminalizing crime and then letting them out on the streets and then being shocked when they keep pushing the envelope until they go to jail seriously. I mean, there are some folks that are out there who are just they're going to keep committing crimes and they're going to keep doing more until you finally stop them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, Craig, when's the last time you've been to Baltimore? You ever been to Baltimore?
I've been to Baltimore. Last time I was in Baltimore, I want to say it's been about 10 years since I've been to Baltimore.
Okay. All right. Large turn in the past 10 years there. I don't know if I'm allowed to quote our former president and how he described it, but it had a word in it that was.
Hey, there are some parts of Maryland that are nice, and even some parts of Baltimore that are nice. And then there are parts that, I wouldn't spend a lot of time in. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, that's most of Baltimore now. It's to put it politely, it's a crap hole. You know, that's just, if you're there, I hope you can get out.
It does not surprise me one bit. Does not surprise. Sadly, it does not surprise me one bit. All right, we're going to move right along to our next story. Oh, you guys are going to love this one. So not love this one. You know, I remember when my son was graduating from college, there were all these people who were getting degrees in things like Chicano studies, Black studies, women and ethnic studies, psychology. And I'm thinking to myself, what are these people going to do for a career? I mean, how are they going to make a living? Why? I mean, if you're going to spend all the money that you're going to spend, and my son went to UC Santa Barbara, which was not an inexpensive place to live. I'm like, how is anyone going to go there and make a living with these sorts of degrees? Well, now I'm all of a sudden starting to realize that there's a whole friggin' cottage industry. And one example here, the University of Virginia paid a CRT proponent, Ibram X. Kendi, who is a flat out racist. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Ibram X. Kendi is a straight up racist when it comes to how he feels about white people. But they paid him $500 per minute for a lecture according to a report that he did. Now, Mike, you know this. There are trainers all over the country who are getting together earning tens to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, teaching white people to hate themselves and believe they are racist, and teaching black people to also hate themselves and believe that they are oppressed. And they're making tons of money, and most of it's off of government and off of corporations. I keep thinking I'm in the wrong business.
Listen, there's two things I want to discuss on this. All right. The first thing is bad on the university there in Virginia for not telling Ibram there that, listen, we're going to pay you for a speech, but we'd like it to be about 45 minutes long, because they gave the guy $50,000 to do a speech, and then he came out and did it in 10 minutes and walked away. That's $500 a minute, folks. He walked away. Hey, listen, if you hire an actor or a comedian, right, you're going to pay him for Craig. You're going to pay him for the whole day, or you're going to pay him for 5 minutes. You know, you want to make sure you get your money's worth out of this guy. So Virginia screwed that pooch. You know, they $500 a minute. That's their fault. Anyway, these are ridiculous, right? This is Craig. This is when you like you said, 5-10 years ago, we're sitting around going, what are you gonna do with that degree? What's that degree? It makes my 19th century French literature degree look, like it's got value. So these guys, they studied these crap courses and they got these crap degrees that mean nothing. And now all of a sudden, they're CRT specialists. Well, when you make up your whole degree program, now they're just wandering around spouting off whatever they want. I think this sounds good. Here's some more crap for you. Oh, thanks. I'll take the $50,000 too.
And that's, Mike, you just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. And there's the thing that gets me in particular about all of this stuff is critical race theory has never been really vetted by any or tested by any real academic or scientific standard, right? When you start asking for data and facts and information to support anything in it, the first thing they will tell you is, well, it's all racist. So data, science, logic, all of logic and critical thinking, all of that that's all racist white people stuff. So you can't trust it. And I'm like, well, how are you teaching something that is quote unquote a theory as fact that has never been proven anywhere? And oh, by the way, now we're making millions of dollars. You have people now making millions of dollars teaching it. And by the way, we're talking University of Virginia. So this is government dollars that are going to paid him $50,000 for 10 minutes.
Yep. Good for you, Virginia. You got to just give that money away. Just spread it out.
Right. Exactly. Which then takes us to SCOTUS. And I mean, since we're talking about critical race theory, let's talk about whether or not the Supreme Court is racist. And I literally just wanted to talk about this because I know when I shared this op-ed with Mike, I knew he was going to just flip a wig. It's basically it's an op-ed that was in the Atlantic, which you guys all know is a left-wing rag. But they're talking about how conservative justices are getting rid of constitutional rights and pretending that they aren't. But the whole point is that they're trying to discriminate. They're saying that they're trying to use. They think discrimination is when you try to remedy discrimination. Now, all they've ever said is, if you want to make sure that people are not discriminated against based on race, then you should not be implementing policies that discriminate based on race. And that, in turn, according to The Atlantic, or at least Adam Serwer, who wrote this for The Atlantic, that then makes them racist.
Some people just need to be hitting the head with a brick. Not to hurt them, but maybe just to jar loose some of the brain molecules that are stuck in the corner and not doing any work. Because this guy's theory is about as smart as a cow looking at a new gate. It's got no focus to it whatsoever. We can prove that you're discriminating and that there's discrimination because we want to discriminate against the discriminators. What? You want to just no, go home. Don't bring that back here anymore. It's time for you to go home.
Here's the thing. It does not make sense for you to say we want to end discrimination by discriminating against the group who historically, when I say historically, I'm talking 40, 50, 60 years ago, discriminated based on race. And not everybody in that group discriminated based on race. I'm like, you don't fight discrimination with discrimination. And this goes back to that whole equity versus equality. Equity is simply, we're going to take from you and give it to you. It's basically, equity is discriminating based on race. Now, their argument is we're going to discriminate based on race in order to justify or in order to rectify past discrimination, but that's not the way it works. If you want to rectify past discrimination, you don't do it by discriminating based on race.
Yeah. I think it was Alan West that said it. Colonel West said it. You can't because you can't legislate equality, but all you can do is legislate opportunity.
Right.
And that's what he wants: equal opportunity, not equal outcome. So I'm sorry, that's what it was. It was if you can't legislate the outcome, you can only legislate the opportunity. That's what we should be doing. You want equality and opportunity, not equality and outcome. You've got to earn it. Once you have the opportunity, then you have to earn it. But we should make sure that the opportunities are there for everyone, and you do that without discriminating against anyone.
Right.
There's no discrimination at all. Fair shake for all.
Exactly. But talk about getting hit in the head. That kind of leads us to that. By the way, see, traumatic brain injury is a serious thing. We don't wish to diminish that at all. We do recognize that it does have serious repercussions, and there's no greater instance than go ahead.
Have you before you get to the video? I just want to make a comment. So go ahead, get your intro going. But before we show the video, I got a comment for you.
Oh no! I was go ahead. I was about to show the video.
Oh, okay. Folks, have you ever played with your brother or friend and you put a golf ball or a ping pong ball in her head and you try and swat it off, or you try and knock it off, or even like you put an apple on your head and you try and shoot it off with a Nerf dart or something like that. There's a right way and the wrong way to knock something off of somebody's head, and we're gonna take a look at one of those ways now.
That, by the way, probably explains a lot about the current state of our president.
Yes.
So you know.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
So yeah, that kind of explains probably what happened as a kid. Just saying.
Listen, first off, again, nice level swing. That's how you drive the ball. You don't do it by hammering it down. That's not the way it works. First off, Craig, have you ever listened to that speech there and how racist he is?
Oh yeah. Well, he's talking about black kids.
He just
who are
he starts wandering off into some racist story that he recalls from his childhood, and then I don't know, tries to figure his way out of it, and he's talking about the time he was at the pool with a bunch of black kids. And they were fascinated by his white hair, by his white kid hair. And I'm thinking about, well, where did this guy go? Listen, not only is he racist, he's lying. Tell me where this guy went in the 1950s and the 1960s and hung out with a pool full of black kids. Where? In Delaware? They don't even like black kids in Delaware back then. All right. It was Whiteville. All right. This guy does nothing but lie.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. You see, back in the day when he used to tell all these stories, no one ever fact checked him because there was no internet. Now, because he's liberal, the media is never going to fact check him. Although, let me clarify, they have fact checked him, and it's so bad now that even the fact checkers are like, yeah, dude, he needs to just stop lying.
He just needs to stop talking.
Right.
He needs to stop talking.
He does. He does. Speaking of stopping talking, we got to cut this program off. We're just, not way over time, but we're slightly over time. But anyway, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors.
Let's say hey to our good friends at Gorilla Machining, Grid Defense, and of course, the good peoples of the California Republican Assembly.
Once again, folks, please make sure the links to their websites are in the description of this video. Please go there, check them out. Make sure you tell them the guys over at the Rundown sent you. Help them, help us, help you as we do 2A News, as we bring to you 2A News and conservative views Monday through Friday. And tomorrow we will be back, which will be on a fine Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
See you tomorrow.